Your higher life purpose. You've probably asked yourself before, what is the meaning of life? This, I believe, is the true meaning of your life. It's a personal mission that transcends oneself. It's a personal mission that can't be achieved. A mission where you get fulfillment not from achieving the goal, but rather in the journey itself. And most people never actually realize their higher purpose. So I'm making this video today in hopes that I can help you find your life's purpose by sharing how I was able to do it at the ripe age of 19. So enough chit chat, let's just get straight into it. So I assume you're probably watching this video hoping to find your purpose in life. So I decided to create this simple analogy that breaks it down like a video game. Now before I move on, I want to make it clear that you won't be able to find your purpose if you haven't lived your life. Hence why I have the 4 ranks. You have to be at the 4th rank to be able to know for certain what your higher purpose is. And this isn't a matter of opening a Google Doc and spending 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour going on a deep dive self-reflection and you find your purpose. No, it's much deeper than that. You're probably confused right now, so let me just get right into it. And I call it the 4 ranks. So the 1st rank is survival. All you care about is surviving. So you get fulfillment from finding water, food, and getting shelter. Basic life necessities, right? Because if you go up to a caveman and say, what's your purpose in life? What's your meaning in life? They're not gonna know anything, right? Because they're a caveman. All they care about is hunting, food, and reproduction. There's no profound, deep meaning when you're at this rank because your biggest priority are these basic necessities. Now, thankfully, we're in the 21st century, so most of the people in the world aren't in this rank. They're a rank above, which I'm gonna get into later. The reason why I explain this rank is to drive the point home that if you have a priority that needs to get fulfilled for your survival, then you will not be able to find your purpose because that's levels above. The 2nd rank is called the farming rank. Now I call it farming because I used to play games, and this is basically a phase in your life where you basically farm for experience. Because how can you think about a higher purpose in life if you haven't even done the basic things a teenager would do? You can't find a deep meaning in life if you haven't even lived life. You gotta have fun, man. So most people born in a first world country start at this stage, but it takes them until 18 years old or 19 or 20 or 21 to actually start fulfilling the needs of this rank because of laws. You know, there's a lot of things you can't do when you're underage, right? So, and it'll all make sense when I explain how I actually did it at such a young age. But anyways, at this stage, you get fulfillment from buying materialistic things, buying a new watch, buying designer clothes, buying supercars, and thinking about money, 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 right? And then there's also fulfilling your social life. So you can't find a higher purpose if you've never had friends before, if you've never had a relationship before, if you've never talked to someone in the opposite gender. So you gotta have a social life, man. You gotta live life. You also get fulfillment from doing fun things like, I don't know, surfing, going to the beach, jumping off a cliff, like going to the roller coaster, going to the theme parks, going to a water park, going on a late night drive, going to the movies, things like that. Normal things you do in your teenage years, even in your adult years, just things that are fun. And then there's also doing dumb shit like setting off firecrackers at 4 a.m. in like a suburban neighborhood, going into an abandoned building with a potential risk of there being a squatter, going to a haunted house, dumb stuff like that. And then lastly, there's status, which is like trying to get the best haircut to look the best in front of women, posting on social media for the sole reason to impress women or get with women, and just flexing materialistic things and just things you would do as a teenager in general, right? Even as an adult. So this rank actually contains, this is like a wild guess, but I'd say around 80% of the population. They never get past this stage. Even when they're in their 30s, 40s, they still want to do these things. And that's completely normal. Some people never actually, like I said in the beginning, some people never actually get to the point where they can have a higher purpose because they still have an insatiable desire to have more fun, have materialistic things, have a better social life. Maybe they're still a virgin when they're in their 30s, like they still want to do things, they want to experience more things, right? They're not content yet. They have more desires to do stuff. And that's completely fine. I'm not saying you're inferior because you don't have a higher purpose. No, no, no. It's actually the opposite. I'm making this video so you can be aware of it and hope that you can find your higher purpose and find a good meaning in life. But yeah, there comes a time where you've got all the materialistic things you want, where you've basically had multiple social circles and had a pretty good social life, still do have a good social life, had a lot of fun and there's not much else to do, already done all the dumb shit, and maybe you've reached the point where your frontal lobe has developed and you're thinking more rationally, and then you've grown out of the status phase where you care about other people's validation. And that's good. Once you get to that point, you then are able to rank up, which the next rank I like to call rank number 3, and I call it mending. Shout out to the ones that get the reference. Minecraft. But I know you're laughing at my handwriting, please. I'm not Picasso, I'm not Da Vinci, all right? As long as you guys can understand it, that's all I care about. But yes, rank number 3 is mending. And you get to this point when you realize the farming rank, you thought all there is to life is to have fun, to buy materialistic things, do that, do this, and do that. If you get to a point where you get bored of it and you grow past it, you realize life isn't about that. There has to be more to life. So then you start questioning yourself, right? You look beyond the surface level materialistic life, and there you find discoveries of past traumas and holes within yourself. Now, not here to insult you or anything, but everyone's full of problems. You know, I would be shocked and impressed to learn if there's one family in the world whose parents raise their child perfectly in a way where the child has no past traumas, no bad experiences, no bad personality traits. It's just very, 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 very unlikely. So in this stage, I call it the mending stage, or which basically means to fix or to heal, right? Because to get a higher purpose, you have to fill all holes. So I want you to imagine a boat and you're on the tip. I don't know what it's called. I don't know boat terminology, but you're on the tip. Okay, and you're looking out at the distance. If you're in the second rank of farming, you're probably looking out at the distance, looking at if there's any land to discover, if there's any fish in the water, if there's a shark, if there's a dolphin, you're probably looking there. And you're not aware of the holes in the boat that's slowly sinking the boat, right? And until you get over the fact that these islands, these sharks, these fish in the water don't really matter, you then get off the tip, you go down the stairs, and then you realize there's water coming in the boat because there's holes that needs to be sealed, right? And when you realize that is what you should be doing, that's when you rank up to the mending stage. And this is where you find fulfillment, okay? You don't find buying watches or buying designer clothes fun anymore. You don't find going to the clubs and drinking fun anymore. What you find fun is actually fixing yourself and improving yourself, because no one in this world is perfect, right? So you have to heal past traumas. And I'm not gonna go deep into it because I'm not a therapist, right? I'm just here to give you a surface level breakdown, keep it as simple as possible. But you basically wanna self-reflect before you get to the stage of asking what your meaning of life is or what your purpose in life is. You have to heal all your holes, seal all your holes, pause. Because again, going back to the first rank, you won't be able to find your purpose if you have priorities in front of you, right? And if you're in your 20s and your 30s and your 40s and you haven't found your higher purpose, that's completely normal because it takes years and years and years, and some people never actually realize it. So yeah, me personally, I'm currently about to rank up from this stage. Not to sound like a douchebag or an egotistical guy, but I've basically done most self-reflecting and fixed a lot of things that I've carried on from my childhood that have affected my personality and my worldview. And as of now, I'm not catching anything yet. Probably in the near future, I would find more holes that I've probably missed. But in my head, I've basically already gone past this stage, hence why I'm able to find my higher purpose. And also to be clear, in between ranks 2 to 3, it's not a fast jump, okay? The way I'm explaining it, it makes it seem like you go from 2 to 3 in like a year, 2 years. No. Usually it takes 10 years, 7 years, 5 years, 15 years, 20 years to go from rank to rank, right? Hence why a lot of people never realize their higher purpose. Now for the final rank, which I like to call focus. That is the final rank. And when you're at this rank, you don't find fulfillment from having water, food, and shelter because that's already a standard. You don't find fulfillment from materialistic things because that's already given to you. You don't find fulfillment from having fun. It doesn't hit the same anymore. You don't find fulfillment from your social life because you felt like you've done everything there needs to be done from a social life. You don't feel fulfillment from your social life because you feel like you've done everything that needs to be done. You don't find fulfillment from doing dumb shit, and you don't find fulfillment from having a higher perceived status. On top of that, you basically filled all the holes that you're aware of, and you don't have anything to find fulfillment from. And then can you finally get to the fourth and final stage where you find out what is the true meaning of your life. Now, when you're at the stage, you're probably asking, what do you get fulfillment from? I personally believe a higher purpose should be a mission that can never be achieved. And if you're asking why it can never be achieved, it's because you need to spend your whole life trying to achieve it. And in that journey of trying to achieve it is where you start living life. A lot of people get this wrong. People say, oh, I found my purpose in life. And it's usually something like, I'm gonna protect and provide for my children. That is a pretty deep purpose in life that's also rooted in biology, because technically in biology, our meaning of life is to reproduce, right? But even that isn't high enough. It doesn't transcend oneself, right? Well, technically it does. It transcends. You're trying to help kids. But even then, after you've raised your children have grown up and they don't need your help anymore. Even though it's a very noble thing to want to be the protector and provider of your family, you have to go a step higher than that. It has to be a mission that you die trying. Like another example is, oh, my purpose is to be the richest person in my bloodline. But once you become the richest person in your bloodline, then what happens? Do you just kick the bucket? It has to be something that transcends oneself. Your higher purpose should leave your mark on earth. Because we all know that we only get one chance at this life on this planet, right? So how can we contribute to the world in a positive way and leave our mark by helping other people? That is what your higher purpose should be. A vague example would be to inspire other people to do something positive in their lives, right? That's why you see a lot of business owners solving problems or doing something impressive in hopes to inspire people. Even after their death, their legacy still lives on through the work. That, I believe, is what a higher purpose should be. And you're probably dying to know what my higher purpose is, but I can't reveal my higher purpose in this video because it's a pretty personal topic to me. But what I can do is show you how I was able to realize it at such a young age. And it was due to these many factors. It really is a lot of factors that dictated how I was able to realize it at such a young age. And I'd say the biggest contributor would be my geographical location, the freedom I had, and the luck I had. These three were probably the biggest, and I'm going to explain exactly why. And you'll start to understand why I explain the ranks first, because everything will start to make sense. But now, I am half Balinese and half Japanese, and I live here. I've been living here my whole life. Well, I did live in Japan previously, but now I've been living here as of elementary school, I believe. And the thing with Bali is that you have the freedom to do a lot of things. Like, say for example, when you're in a first world country, there's laws and regulations, and not only that, there's not many things you can do without being stopped, right? Bali, on the other hand, if you're currently in the farming rank, you can just go to a cliff and jump off, or you can just go to the beach and just start surfing, or you can drive at such a young age, you can do dumb stuff. I'm not gonna name it, but you do have the freedom, right? These two would be the biggest reasons why. And this combination of being free and living in a paradise island like Bali, in a free island, small island like Bali, I was able to progress much faster as a person. So in the farming stage, you have your social life, right? Bali is a small island, and me being a mixed kid, I was hanging around other mixed kids. And since the island is pretty small, everyone knows each other, okay? So I would go to house parties every weekend, I would go to birthdays. I wouldn't be missing out on anything, basically. It was almost as if I was living the life of an American in their 20s in college, just doing some dumb shit. But the biggest difference was I was 13. Most people start farming for experience at 18. They start doing their first dumb things, or like 17. But I did it at 13. That is the biggest difference. So if you count, I basically started the second rank at 13. Now I'm 19, so it basically took me 6 years to realize my higher purpose. So it's not a fast process. It was just because I started early. Now the reason why I could start at 13 is because of luck. I'm so grateful, and I'm so proud, and I'm so lucky to be able to be born in a family that is able to provide water, food, and shelter, and basic necessities. I never had to worry about it, and it was a given in my life. So I didn't have to start at the first rank. I could start straight away from the second rank, and that contributed heavily to my spiritual growth, right? Hence why all of these factors connected together and resulted in me now. So at 13, I was already farming dad lore. I'm sure us Gen Zers know what dad lore means, but I was basically doing anything. And like, I've had not to boast or anything, but I've had crazy experiences that I believe most people will never get to experience in Bali. And I'm so grateful for that. And I'm not saying you should copy me, because don't do that. You should never copy someone else's life. You end up becoming miserable. You want to follow what you want to do and follow your own path, because everyone has their own paths, right? But at 13, that's when I first vaped. That's when I don't want to reveal too many things, but I've basically started ticking all the boxes for the farming stage, the things that fulfilled me. And it actually went until when I was 17. So from 13 to 17, I was basically farming experience. I was finding dad lore, I was ticking bucket lists, I was doing everything, right? And when I got to 17, I didn't find it fun anymore. I know it sounds Sigma, but it just wasn't fulfilling anymore. I've been to 100 parties. Friends are like, let's go drink. I don't know. There's the fire to drink alcohol isn't there anymore at this age. The fire to go to parties isn't there anymore. I don't want to do dumb stuff anymore because I feel like I don't want to die. Not that I fear death, but that I could be doing something better with my life, right? So I'd say that 17, I was transitioning into the mending rank, where I started to realize that I wasn't finding fulfillment in the materialistic lifestyle and having fun with life. So I became self-aware. I said, there has to be something more to life than just drinking and going out with friends, or just like working a job and like saving money and using that money to travel. Because like I've done all that and I still feel like life is still missing something. There has to be more to life, right? So that's when I started questioning, and that's where I became self-aware. And there I started to learn things about myself that I've never knew before, thanks to books and thanks to mentors. I was able to notice why I'm the person I am now, and I realized I could change and shift my identities in ways that I could have never imagined. I always thought I was born a certain way and I could never be changed, but that's bullshit. You can change your whole identity. You can change the person you are if you just change your beliefs, right? And it was in this, I had a quote unquote ego death, where I basically accepted the fact that I wasn't a perfect human being. I accepted the fact that I was full of problems, I was full of holes, you know? Take the boat analogy, for example. Some people will see water coming in the boat. There's a massive hole that needs to be sealed now, or the boat's gonna sink and they're gonna drown. But some people would rather be deluded and not acknowledge the fact that the boat is sinking. They'd say, oh no, I'm seeing things, I'm hallucinating. That is what happens when your ego is taking control, right? And that was me at one point. When I became self-aware, I didn't want to accept the fact that I had problems. And I didn't want to take the responsibility. I didn't want to take the blame. I said, oh, it's because of my parents. Oh, it's because of this. It's because of that. It's because of this. I didn't want to take responsibility. I didn't want to take accountability. So I was basically stuck in this self-aware state, knowing that I had problems, but I didn't have the balls to actually fix them until I had my ego death, where I said, you know what, fuck it. It's all my fault. I'm gonna stop being a victim. I know that I'm not perfect. I have the humility to accept that I'm not a perfect human being. I'm not who I think I am. I'm not that guy. And because of that, I embraced my problems. I mean, it's hard to admit that you're full of problems. It's not an easy thing. We as humans want to be perfect, but it's actually counterintuitive. If you stick to your ego and say you are perfect, you're technically not perfect. You're actually going further away from perfect. If you actually have the humility to accept and embrace your problems, then you can actually start working towards becoming more perfect, even though perfection doesn't exist, right? And when I basically embraced it, I was able to start working on fixing my holes. Pause. And this is when I changed. Around basically, 17 to 19, I was basically changing my life and changing who I was. And which leads to now. Now, the reason why when I was explaining the ranks, I said I'm in between the stage of mending and reaching my higher purpose is because I realized something. So, when you're doing self-reflection, when you're trying to find things about yourself that you need to fix or like look for holes, you don't find everything at first glance, obviously, right? You need to do a thorough check I'd say every year. Constantly look to improve, constantly look for problems that you can fix. And I basically, quote unquote, fixed a lot of the things that I've already saw in me that were quite obvious. And I said, okay, there's nothing to fix anymore. Now can I ask the question, why am I living? What's the point of my life? And when I asked that question, I got the answer. I found out the answer and I felt it in my heart. And not to sound, this sounds a lot pretty like new age woo-woo stuff. No, this is like my own personal experience. Again, I'm not trying to say, oh, I'm better than you because I found my higher purpose and you haven't. No, it's not like that at all. I genuinely want to help you guys, okay? I'm rooting for you. I'm not trying to say that I know it all. I'm open to, if someone watching this thinks that I am deluded, let me know. Because I have the mindset to speak like you know everything, but listen like you don't know nothing. So I'm willing to take criticism about this, about my whole video. And I'm willing to know. Another reason why I was able to progress so fast at a young age is because of the mentality I adopted, where I found the lesson in everything. I'm always learning, right? I'm very open-minded and I want to know what you guys think. So let me know in the comments if there's things you don't agree with and want to correct me on. I'm pretty open to that. But the point is, after I found my quote-unquote higher purpose, I realized I still didn't have true internal validation. Meaning, I couldn't start fulfilling my personal purpose because I still had other priorities to handle. Think of it like this. You're not going to be able to go to the toilet and take a shit if you haven't ate food yet. You got to eat food. You got to address one thing before you go into another, right? But what I thought I ate enough food, and then I went to the bathroom, a little bit came out, but it wasn't the full experience. And then while I was on the toilet, I realized, oh wait, I still have another meal I have to eat. This is it's a very, very weird analogy, but it works, right? That's what basically happened. And what I realized I needed to fix was that I still had a little bit of thirst for validation. And what I mean by this is I need to get to a point where I have true internal validation, where I don't do things for anyone else. I do things for me and me only. And it's very easy to say, but it's actually hard to do. When was the last time you posted an Instagram story of you, I don't know, flexing in the mirror or just like a selfie because you thought you looked good? And then you check the viewers to see who looked at your story, hoping that you impressed someone or made someone blush. If you've had those recently, that means you're still, even though you think you're not an attention seeker anymore, you technically still are by a little bit. And I'm not trying to like bring you down or anything. That's me, right? I'm literally describing myself. And it's obviously gotten better over time. I used to do even worse, but now I need to get to a point where I can just rely on my own validation. I don't need to post Instagram stories to know that I'm good looking. I don't even have to post anything on social media, because when you're truly in the fourth rank, all you're doing in life is just fulfilling your higher purpose. That's literally all you're doing in life, nothing else. You're not doing anything materialistic. You're not doing anything fun. You're not doing, well, fun is fulfilling your purpose at that rank, but you're not doing anything that someone in the second rank would find fun. You're not doing any of that. Your only thing you're spending the whole 24 hours, you're awake. Well, you're not awake for 24 hours, but you get the point. The 24 hours in the day, you're spending on fulfilling your higher purpose. Now, obviously, like I've said a million times, to get to that point, you have to face every priority you have. After you've addressed them, then you can finally start fulfilling your higher purpose. So right now, I was spending most of my time fulfilling my higher purpose, right? Imagine that's higher purpose. But now I've realized I still had things that I needed to mend. So I'm going back and forth, basically, as of now. But I do know what my higher purpose is as of now. And I don't know, it's probably going to change. Like I said, I'm just speaking my personal experience, hoping that I could be of value to you. This is from my spiritual journey. So I'm currently hopping back and forth while also sharing my spiritual improvement online, hoping to inspire you to go after it as well. Because it actually hurts me to know that some people never actually realize their true calling. And from my experience, well, not that I've died before, but from my experience, from the people I know, those people that never fulfill their true calling or never find their true calling in the first place usually die with regrets. They die with a sense of feeling of they haven't done enough for the world. And I don't want that for myself, nor for you. I want you to pass away with no regrets, but not that I'm saying that I want you to pass away. I'm saying like in the future, when you do pass, I want you to do it without any regrets. I want you to know that you've done your deed for life. You fulfilled your mission for life, and you can peacefully pass. And another key thing to note is I don't want you to rush it or chase it, because the more you chase something, the more it runs away. You'll never find your purpose if you keep chasing it, okay? It's like, oh, I'm not living life if I don't have my higher purpose. I'm gonna chase it. What's my higher purpose? What's my higher purpose? You're never gonna find it that way. The only reason I'm able to map it like this is because in the moment, when I was 13, when I was 17, I didn't have all of this in my head. I was just living in the moment. I was just doing what needed to be done, okay? And I was just living life. I didn't even think about this in the third person perspective until now, actually. And now I actually mapped it out, but I don't want you to map it out. I just want you to keep living your life just as it is, but keeping this information in mind. Because I'd say the biggest reason why some people never realize their true calling is because they don't actually know that there is a true calling in life. So just being aware that there is a higher purpose that you need to fulfill in life, well, that's what I believe. So just continue to do what you're doing and just be open to it. Just like how God will guide you if you surrender to Him. And lastly, I have one more reason why I think some people never actually find their true calling. I believe it's because they're pretty closed. And what I mean by that is some people are just too binary. They fall into one extreme, you know. Some people are super logical and analytical. Some people are super spiritual and, you know, high consciousness or whatever it's called. And I think in life, you should be in the middle. You shouldn't go to one side or the other. Because when you become too logical and analytical, you only follow your brain and follow your ego, right? And I'm not trying to put down anyone. I'm not saying this in an insulting manner. I'm saying this because I don't want you to pass with regrets, okay? When you are in this side controlled by the ego feeds you shallow desires like you're living because you need to buy that supercar, or you need to live in Dubai, and you need to be the richest person ever. You need to prove your haters wrong. You need to do this, you need to do that. Shallow desires, right? And unless you break free of this constant stagnation of shallow desires, you will never find your true deep desire, your deep higher purpose. And it's pretty fucked because at this stage, your ego is trying to convince you that these shallow desires are what truly fulfills you when it's actually not. What truly fulfills you comes from the heart. And I'm not just going to bash one side. I'm also going to bash the overly spiritual people. These people are just delusional. Let's be real. They go too far. And there's also these like people that manifest. They manifest, but they don't do any work. And then it magically works. Like, come on. So you want to be in the middle, guys. I believe that we were born into this world with a higher purpose. And it's a mission that we should strive to achieve, which isn't achievable, that we get fulfillment from trying to achieve, which then when we pass, we leave a legacy that helps or benefits the world around us. So that was basically my journey to spiritual improvement. I hope you were able to learn some things from me, and comment down below if you have something to tell me. I read all my comments, and I would love to learn from you guys too. And if you have experienced something similar, let me know in the comments down below because I would love to know. And if you want more videos about spiritual improvement like this one, you know what to do. Subscribe down below. And as always, I'm rooting for you.